Hello? All right, hello, we are live. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. It is January 19th, 2024. My name is Jan, and this is my live stream. How is everybody doing? I'm here with Loppy. Loppy, the emotional support unicorn. The emotional support unicorn. How is everybody doing today? We got some interesting topics for today, some really odd ones, honestly. I don't think I've really dived into the situation with Alec Baldwin. Maybe I've touched on it, but it's really interesting. So we're going to look into that today. And then, as you know, I'm really heavily invested into the case with Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. Well, Ruby Franke's husband, Keven Franke, is going to be suing Jody Hildebrandt. So, I'm really interested in that because I think that's right. Also, interesting enough, last week we talked about Japan and the earthquake that happened then. But Japan is doing something really amazing right now, and they have put something on the moon. That's going to be fun. I would love it if we got some, conspiracy moon theorists in the chat today. Anyways, also, oddly enough, we have just a small, very hot story, something that's just happened, literally yesterday, where there's this viral TikTok where a woman talks about how she ate a mouse and she had a really bad reaction to it. And then, as you know, possibly, if I feel like it, I will update on Trump. There's always an update on Trump. So I'm getting into the spirit now where I'm just going to include him in really small parts of the thumbnail. And I'm almost getting to the idea I want to do a Where's Waldo thing with Trump where I make my thumbnail for the live stream and then I plant Trump really tiny in there somewhere and people have to find Trump. Because at this point, let's face it, Trump is filler. Trump is, as content, it's just filler. It's you know what? You need, a palate cleanser or, a break or something, so you just update on Trump and then you move on to the next subject. There's always something fucking going on with Trump. It drives me insane. So I just kind of, as a joke, put that in there as, a little thing. Find Trump in the thumbnail. So I'm just going to do that from now on. So why don't we say hello to everybody that's coming in? Spectral Deviant says big orange stuffing. Macromonia says Trump and Biden are wretched. I agree. I don't like either of them. That's the problem though. Is sometimes people think oh, you're only talking about Trump. It's well, there's always something going on with Trump. Biden I don't like, but he's old and just boring. So one thing I will say between Biden and Trump is Trump does have the pizzazz. He has the charisma. Whether we like it or not, it's there. Hey, we got Pooks in the house. Hey, what's up? What's going on? Good to see you. Cassidy. Yes, Loppy's here. Loppy is coming back. Loppy lumps are coming back. You know what? It's so funny. This idea popped into my head right now. Instead of an emotional support unicorn, you know how in Neogenianism we strive to be really rational? What if instead of emotional, this was a rational support unicorn? Oh! This is a rational support unicorn. What do you think? It's not an emotional support unicorn. It's a rational support unicorn. And yes, this is good, right? Because like I want to revive Loppy Lumps, and I think when I make the little unicorn balls, these are little mini pom pom versions of Loppy here on my shoulder. Is what I'm talking about when I call them Loppy Lumps. It's like little pom poms with like little unicorn hair and stuff like that, and little horns and stuff. So like I'm gonna send you out your rational support unicorn pom pom, your rational support Loppy Lump. So Loppy Lumps are coming back. They are available for members. Hit me up if you want one. Got your rational support Loppy Lump. I just made that up right now. I mean, I didn't make it up. I thought that was like a good direction to go. So, if you are just arriving, please like the live stream. Please show support. That means the world to me. And again, we got some subjects coming up. We're just going to wait a little bit for people to come in because I know it takes a while for people to get the notifications. So we're just going to just hang out a little bit. You can tell me what you've done during the week. You can tell me what you discovered. You can tell me what you're interested in. You can just randomly share information that you learned. I really don't care. I mean, I do care. That's the point. I care. But I don't care if it's anything pertaining to anything. You can just randomly say something. I don't know. You can ask me anything. We're just gonna hang out here until we get some few more people in, and then we'll hit our main subjects. Loppy. Trying to see those Loppy Lumps. I don't think I have any examples to show right now. But I know I've been sewing them, and where are my Loppy Lump pictures? This is a good question. Let me try. I'm going to try and pull up a picture of my Loppy Lumps because I hand make them myself. Yeah, so they look like this. I make miniature versions of Loppy. And they're little pom-pom balls with little horns, little ears, little tails, and little manes. And I even make them so the manes are different colors. If you want a purple one or a pink one or a blue one, I hand make them and send them out. Yeah, so if you're interested, I mean, it's it does cost me a little bit to send them out, shipping and stuff. But if you can message me or if you're a member, I'm offering this to members, honestly, because offering this to the public would be way a stretch. But for members can contact me and we can work out a deal. And because I'm doing a revival of Loppy Lumps, I got some really cool news about them soon. Because, if you think these are cute, if you think different colors are cute, I have something that's gonna knock your fucking socks off. So just you wait. But yeah, so if you want a little miniature version of your rational support, this is your rational support lump. Who wants a rational support lump? This is Loppy's my rational support unicorn, okay? When I'm feeling down and I'm feeling crazy and I'm feeling like nothing's making sense, I hold on to Loppy and I just try to be as reasonable as possible, you know? That's the best you can do. When you're angry, when you're sad, even when you're happy and you're so excited and you have lots of energy, like, where do you spend that energy? Like, keep your rational support unicorn with you and you can figure that out. So there you have it. It's really it's kind of funny with the idea of like a rational support unicorn, because like the very idea of a unicorn is that it's irrational, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like cute and ironic in a way where it's like it's a unicorn, it's your rational support unicorn, but you know, unicorns aren't really rational. But here he is. Cassie, good to see you. Cassie is one of our moderators in the house. Good to see you, good to see you. All right. Yeah, just a couple more minutes and then we'll get started on our main topics. We have our main topics of Alec Baldwin being indicted. We have Keven Franke suing Jody Hildebrandt. And then we have something cool in science. I love to include like just little fun like science information, I guess. So like we're back to Japan again and we're talking about landing stuff on the moon. And then at the end, I guess some lady tried to, or ate a mouse and it didn't go well. So, yeah, you heard me. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Aren't we, Loppy? Aren't we, Loppy? Can ice cream provide rational support? No. I have to be honest, and this is coming from somebody who loves ice cream more than anything in the world. As much as I love ice cream, it just cannot provide rational support. It can provide, you know, emotional, I don't know, it's like emotional comfort. And I only say that because, like, when you eat something, you get, like, a specific chemical reaction and stuff. And you could probably say that about anything, honestly. But at least with, like, Loppy, I'm like, this is, like, a symbol. Like, if you're feeling crazy, you should hold on to your Loppy lump and realize, like, okay, it's time to be rational. It's time to think outside the box here. Cassidy, as long as it's not mint ice cream, you're good. It's true. I do not like mint. I have a very strong hatred for mint. Neapolitan ice cream? I have mixed feelings about Neapolitan ice cream. I mean, on the one hand, I'll eat it if it's available. But on the other hand, it's like, why? I don't know. I feel like it's an ice cream that I feel is trying to make a statement, but I'm not sure what that statement is. So, by the way, I'm trying to check my mic levels lately because, like, I think it's been a little bit too low in some instances. So let me know how the sound is. Lisa Zewak says, I do not like mint either. Thank you. I'm telling you, it's toothpaste flavored desserts. Why would you want Listerine as a dessert flavor? I why? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself, to humanity? Mint chocolate is not a different story. You know what, actually, I was talking about the other day with a friend of mine about growing plants. And there's one plant that I actually do really enjoy, and it is a type of mint plant. It's not like directly a mint plant, So there's a plant that's genuinely called a chocolate mint plant. And it's a very beautiful, dark, leafy, greenish, purplish like plant. And if you take the leaves and crumble it up, it does smell like mint chocolate, and you can use it. It's edible. You can use it to season things and stuff like that. So, like, I actually enjoy that plant, but more as a novelty. Like, yeah, I can pick a leaf and just kind of like crumble it up and eat it, but it's not like very mint. It's not like a super mint plant. Like, it does smell like chocolate, but like, there is actually a plant called a chocolate mint plant. Look it up. Straight up, look it up. You should get it. In fact, I actually want to get one. I used to have one. I want to get one again. You can make chocolate mint tea. Yeah, totally. Totally chocolate mint tea. Moppy, what's going on with your ear here, dear? Why can't you just, like, we need to comb your fur. Alright, that's it. First ASMR video. I'm going to quietly and calmly groom Loppy and brush his fur. Chocolate mint is pretty and it smells great. It's a very beautiful plant. Like, and it looks cool too. Like, if you look at a chocolate mint plant, it's very dark. Like, it's like greenish, and then there's like some purple in it. Like, it's very interesting. There's a manga series or series titled Mint Chocolate. Interesting. Yeah, there's totally a chocolate mint plant, like a mint chocolate plant. Like, it's totally cool. Hey, MC Heavyset, good to see you. Hey, says, hey, cool buds, I like coffee. Oh, oh my God. What am I saying? My brain is melting because I'm thinking about it. Coffee flavored ice cream is so fucking delicious. What about mud pie? Like, there's like mud pie where it's like chocolate ice cream, or it's like coffee ice cream, like chocolate mousse or something like that, in like an Oreo crust. But it has like caffeine in it because it's like a fucking coffee pie. Mississippi mud pie? Yeah, that makes sense. There's probably different variations, but Mississippi mud pie like rings a bell. I think that's a thing. Cassidy says, now I'm hungry. Pook says, I just got ice cream today that's called Unicorn Toots. Loppy, what did you do? What'd you do? What did you do? I do love Rocky Road ice cream. That's really good. All right. Well, should we get started? Should we get started on our main topics today? I think we should. All right, Loppy. Loppy, you're going to sit over here. Okay. Well, we got first up Alec Baldwin. Now, no, we are not ending. What the fuck, Jan? Anyways, there is this situation with Alec Baldwin where he was creating and directing, producing like this old Western movie, I guess, called Rust. And in this situation, there was an accident, and it involved guns, because when you have an old Western, you work with guns, right? Like, you can't really have an old Western if you don't have some fucking guns and you don't have some fucking shootouts. That's it. I love Westerns, by the way. You know what's so funny? Side note. I grew up thinking that Western movies were like super boring. And it was something like my father would watch at the time, and I just sit in the room like, this is boring, I want to watch something else. But as I've gotten older, I actually really like them. Like, I think there's definitely a certain like charm and aesthetic to them that I like. But that's just my own personal like likings, right? Like, that's just what I like. Anyway, so, but when you film a movie like Rust, you have to like deal with guns, and you have to make it look realistic, right? You want realistic looking shootouts. So typically when you film, or when you shoot a film that involves guns, you use guns, like real guns, but you have certain types of ammo that are duds. Like, they don't actually shoot. They're just kind of, they make a noise and they pop out. However, there's still some danger involved when you use those. Like, they can still inflict harm on people if not used correctly. So typically, when you have a movie like this that you're trying to film, you have like a specialist, right? Like somebody who's professional with guns and very knowledgeable and things like that. Exactly, Macrimonious. So Macrimonious says supposed to be blanks, not real bullets. Exactly. So blanks are just like, they pop out, they make the noise that's very realistic sounding, but there's no projectile like part of it that like comes out. But however, there's still some danger in them. Like, there's still something popping out of the gun. So in a situation where Alec Baldwin was trying to discuss certain angles of shooting the film, of somebody pointing a gun and shooting, they had the cinematographer on set. So the cinematographer is like the artistic eye of like what angles you use to like shoot something. So he was discussing certain angles of shooting with the cinematographer, and the cinematographer was standing in front of him, and he had the gun that had blanks in it, and he was trying to demonstrate how the shot he wanted to go, and he pointed it directly at her, and the gun went off. Now at this point it's an allegedness, right? Like, he allegedly pulled the trigger. But Alec Baldwin is trying to say, no, I didn't pull the trigger. Something happened. But the gun went off, even though it was a blank, and it struck the cinematographer, and she died. So this is like a big deal. It's like, wait a minute. And Alec Baldwin is really trying hard to set the tone and the narrative. Like, look, I did not pull the trigger. Like, something happened. There was a malfunction. It just went off. I don't know. But she died. And frankly, there's a lot of questions here, right? There was a gal who was the professional on set, who was the, what do you call it? Oh my gosh, it's slipping my head. Some of you are gonna know it. Like a gunsmith? No. Like, what is it? Like when you're like really knowledgeable in guns and shooting and things like that. Well, there's questions of like, well, was it her fault? Like, did she not prepare the guns right? Like, is it Alec Baldwin's fault. I mean, obviously he was holding it, but if he claimed it malfunctioned, then like whose fault is it? And so it's a very frustrating situation because like somebody died, and even though this wasn't intentional and this genuinely was an accident, there's still a case here. There's still somebody who is responsible for the death of somebody. And so it's like really trying to split hairs here. I think this case is just really splitting hairs. Like, well, who did this and who did that and who's responsible for that? And I think they're really trying to hard to just pass it off as a freak accident. It kind of reminds me of the movie The Crow, because I think that was another situation where somebody died on the set of a movie. Yeah, straight up. Yo, The Crow. Who was the actor for The Crow? It was Bruce Lee's son. Brandon Lee. So Brandon Lee, son of Bruce Lee, was starring in this movie called The Crow. And a similar situation happened there, where there was a prop gun involved, and he ended up dying. That's what this reminds me of. Let's see. The famous accident involving Alec Baldwin in 2021 was not the first of its kind in the film industry. In 1993, a similar accident shook the world with Brandon Lee's death from an accidental gun shooting during the film shoot. Brandon Lee died on March 31st, 1993 in Wilmington, North California. North? Is that a typo? From an accidental shotgun while shooting the film The Crow. The young actor, aged 28, was the son of martial arts star Bruce Lee. At the time of the accident, Brandon was filming his ninth movie, The Crow. His career was on the rise, but a tragic accident ended his life while he was involved in a shootout scene. Not even the film industry is immune to occupational accidents, a scourge that claims thousands of lives worldwide each year. Adapting resources to effectively train workers in occupational safety and risk and prevention is essential to protecting them. If you want to know how technologies like virtual... Blah, 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 blah. But... This is just like, I just read that because it's like, it's not really even like a what is it, article or anything, but it's like, this is not like, it reminds me of that, like it's happened before. Like he was shot on set, and it was a similar situation where it was supposed to be a prop gun, but like even dealing with prop guns, there's some danger there. So it's really concerning, like, with this situation. But, like, I mean, I guess I could put myself in Alec Baldwin's shoes and be in a position where you really just, like, if that happened and you were the one holding the gun, I would, and it was supposed to be a prop gun, but, like, somebody died at the end of it, I would think that maybe he's so shocked by the situation that he's trying to distance himself as far away from it as possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's so shocking, like, it just can't even admit it. So it just has to, like, really reach for something else, because genuinely, definitely not in him to do that, to, like, harm somebody. However, not intentionally, like, not wanting to intentionally harm somebody in that way, you know, directly with like a accidental prop gun, there's question, like, Alec Baldwin was in charge of a lot of stuff on the movie, so it's still his responsibility. So why didn't he put in the extra measures to make sure that the prop guns were safe, that the situation was safe? There's question about the gal who was on scene being like the gunsmith expert. And it's like, At some point, somebody is responsible, and even if Alec Baldwin isn't directly responsible for the gun going off like he claims, allegedly, he still has responsibility as a producer to make sure that somebody should have checked that shit, if that makes sense. Like, really. So, what to know about the fatal shooting on Alec Baldwin's Rust movie set? And during this whole thing, I want you to keep in mind, like, just think about, like, do you think he's guilty or not? Let me know. Do you think he's responsible for the death of this woman or not? And I don't mean directly, again, I don't mean by directly having the gun in his hand and it being a prop gun, but it going south. But him as a producer who should have had the responsibility of making sure these things were in check. Do you think he was responsible or not? He was the producer of the film, and he had it in his hand. A grand jury in New Mexico has indicted the actor Alec Baldwin on an involuntary manslaughter charge for a shooting on the set of a Western that killed the film's cinematographer and wounded its director. It was the second time Mr. Baldwin found himself facing a criminal charge in the case. Prosecutors had dropped a previous manslaughter charge against him last year. Okay. So he already had a charge. It was dropped. But it could be unintentional manslaughter. The case stems from a fatal shooting on the set of a film Rust in New Mexico. Man, that's going to be a popular film. In New Mexico in 2021. Mr. Baldwin was rehearsing with a revolver when it fired a live round, killing the cinematographer Helenia, or is it Helenia Hudgens? I don't know. And wounding the film's director. Mr. Baldwin has repeatedly denied responsibility for the tragedy, noting that he was told the gun did not contain any live rounds and that live ammunition is supposed to be banned on set. So I guess there was a live round in the gun? Why would there be a live round in the gun? Like, if you're on a movie, who's providing the guns? I think that's the other gal. It's like, who's providing the guns? Who's checking the ammunition? Who's, like, looking them over? Like, it's guns, for fuck's sakes. Wouldn't you double, triple, and even quadruple check? Like, if those guns are going to fire off safely with the blanks? That doesn't make sense to me. Somebody is responsible for this. Mr. Baldwin has repeatedly denied responsibility for the tragedy, noting he was not holding the gun, or told that, okay. If convicted, he could face up to 18 months in prison. Mr. Baldwin repeatedly denied pulling the trigger, saying that the gun discharged after he pulled the hammer back and released it. Okay, so you have a revolver. You know, you have that little part at the top that you click back, that hammer. You let it go, and then you shoot. And the gun goes off. But he's claiming he clicked it back, let it go, and it just went off. He's claiming his finger wasn't actually curled around the trigger, but like this. A forensic report commissioned by the prosecution determined that he must have pulled the trigger for it to go off. Okay, look. I get that he's really pushing the case that he did not pull the trigger. That's alleged, right? Allegedly, he pulled the trigger, according to the forensic report. I'm trying to think about a gun that's malfunctioning to the point where if you just click the hammer back, the trigger like tucks in. So like what? You pull the hammer back and the why would the trigger just like randomly like tuck in? But that's the thing. If it was like an iffy gun, it should have been worked with. Especially if you're shooting a Western, I would assume you're using like older models of guns. Like clearly, you want to use period pieces, right? I am not a gun expert by any means. I have a little bit of dabbling in with guns. I do enjoy guns. As far as like shooting them, like shooting targets and like clay pigeons and like you shoot tin cans, like you go out in the boonies, like that's the way I enjoy guns. Like totally. Like the proper safe way. But like I would imagine like if you're using prop guns, like see, I have so many questions. So if it's a prop gun, is it actually like an old-timey gun that you're like refurbishing back into life and putting blanks in, or are you like literally having something modern that looks old? Cuz you can have that too. Does somebody else in the chat like have any fucking like is anybody else like somewhat into guns? Guns is controversial. I don't even know if I can say the word guns. Oh well. Guns, 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 guns. Hello, Imaginista. Hey, Halloween Mom. Laura says I was raised learning how to shoot a handgun. See, when I grew up, it was like a thing. Like your father took you out. Your like I went out with my brothers and my father, and they had like rifles and 22s and deer guns and like and a handgun, and like we learned how to shoot the gun. But we drove way out in the country. We would set up tin cans and just maybe miscellaneous stuff. Like if somebody had an old TV or something, like we'd set it like a little TV or something. We'd set it out there, shoot it up or something. Like it was like a thing. And then like even growing up, the guns that we had were kept in my closet, like my bedroom closet growing up, and there was never a lock on there, and there was like definitely ammo in there and stuff, but never as a child did I ever have the thoughts of like fucking with that stuff. I was just like, oh, it's stored there. So growing up, it was really weird to me, seeing reports of people like my age like shooting stuff up. But I've also had some really bad I've had bad experiences where, I had a really alcoholic, abusive, like older brother who took advantage of those guns, and we've had the police involved and things like that. So like I've definitely had some ugly experiences with those guns. So probably looking back, I wish we probably didn't have them, but I do appreciate the opportunity to learn safety. That is such a like can of worms, like with my brother, involving him being an alcoholic and dealing with guns and stuff. And he actually just recently passed away. In fact, I think I might actually make a video about that soon, just like that experience. Pretty weird. Okay, anyways, moving along. Mr. Baldwin has repeatedly denied pulling the trigger, saying that the gun discharged after he pulled the hammer back and released it. Sorry. A forensic report commissioned by the prosecution determined that he must have pulled the trigger for it to go off. The movie's armored Hannah Gutierrez Reed has pleaded not guilty to an involuntary manslaughter charge, as is scheduled to stand trial in February. Prosecutors faulted her for not adequately checking the ammunition that she loaded into the gun for allowing live rounds onto the movie set. That's the weird thing to me. If you're in charge of handling the guns and putting the blanks in, why would you, like, wouldn't you double, triple, quadruple check to make sure, like, you don't have any live ammunition on you? Like, you wouldn't even bring that to the table? Macromonia says if he didn't pull the hammer back until it clicked, but released it too soon. I see what you're saying. Because if you pull the hammer back in a gun, there's a certain point where it clicks into place, right? It's kind of like a pullback thing. It's like click. So Macromonia is saying if he pulled it back but didn't let it click and released it too soon, and the gun was in poor shape, then perhaps it went off because the hammer didn't clock. But why would it go off if the hammer didn't clock back? I mean, isn't like that the whole point? Like, doesn't the hammer have to clock back for it to go off? Why would it go off if the hammer didn't click? Because I thought, like, because the hammer was the cause of the shot, if it jumps forward, there's a bullet where it shouldn't be and the hammer will hit it. Ah, yeah, because if you click the hammer back and it sticks into place, but you don't pull all the way back and it hits the gun, maybe it's too sensitive and it just blew off from just like the hit of the hammer going back. Like it was just like it just fucking like reacted to that. I'm speculating here, by the way. Like I'm doing wild speculations. Anyways, on October 21, 2021, inside a structure depicting a 19th century wooden church, Mr. Baldwin was rehearsing a scene that involved cross-drawing a revolver. Get it together, Jan. Pronounce things correctly. Okay, a revolver. As the crew was setting up the shot, the gun discharged, and the bullet struck Miss Hutchins in the chest. Joel Souza, the film's director, was struck in the shoulder. Miss Hutchins, 42, was airlifted to a hospital in Albuquerque, where she died. Mr. Souza, 48, was taken by ambulance to a hospital in Santa Fe and was released the next day. 4 hours before the shooting, about 6 members of the camera crew walked off the set over working conditions, according to an affidavit. See, here's another piece of the puzzle. Before this incident happened, right, with the gun, the production crew of the movie was already putting in complaints and raising awareness about really poor working conditions. Like, we're talking a filming set that was out in a very desolate place, but they weren't provided really with like any compensation as like far as places to stay, and they weren't being compensated for like travel time. So it's like you would have to travel 3 hours to your set, work there 9 hours, and travel 3 hours back just to sleep somewhere. And so like a lot of people ended up sleeping in their cars and stuff. So the issue is like bigger because like people working on this movie were already upset with poor working conditions. Like everything just seemed really cheap and just not really well compensated. And nobody really cared. So that's an interesting thing to me, and I think that really should be taken into consideration. There were at least 2 accidental gun charges on the set days before the fatal shoot. So there was already 2 accidental gun discharge. Why can I not pronounce things right now? What happened? Who took my mouth? There was at least 2 accidental gun discharges on the set days before the fatal shooting, according to 3 former members. Okay, so we already had accidental gunshots. Hey, Mark. Yeah, we already had 2 accidental gunshots. So by the time this one came around, I guess, that was the nail on the head, I guess. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I hope you have a good evening. We'll see you later. Okay, so you already have, gun problems. You already have accidental discharges. Why is that so hard to say? Accidental discharges. Accidental discharges. Accidental discharges. Accidental discharges. Why is that so weird to say? Can anybody else say that? Really well? Accidental discharges? Is it just me? I don't know. Anyways. Feminine. I can't even say feminine. See, it's so weird. I have this weird, speech thing. And I was even looked into it, as a kid. I was pulled into the special room, why are you saying this like this? It's I can't say feminine. Feminine. Yeah, feminine. Oh, I got it. I used to not be able to say that. Instead of mountains, I say mountains, Accidental discharges. Exochargal dissidence. That sounds... See, exochargal dissidence. Accidental discharges. Accidental... This is getting sillier the more I say it. This is stupid. Oh my god. What are the criminal charges? We're moving on. In New Mexico, as many states, involuntary manslaughter is defined as killing another person unlawfully, but unintentionally. Okay. I'm sorry, I accidentally slaughtered you. That just sounds, even though they add the word unintentionally, or involuntary, even though they add the word involuntary, it still doesn't sound good, right? They still say manslaughter. It's I'm sorry, you accidentally slaughtered a man. It's oh, okay. Jesus. The indictment on January 19th, 2024, it's today, charged Mr. Baldwin with 2 different counts of involuntary manslaughter, but he can only be convicted of 1. Okay, interesting. The more serious one, a felony, accuses him of total disregard or indifference for the safety of others. Well, they already had gun accidents. The crew already complained about the dismal situations. These things were already brought up. So by the time this happened, it wasn't a surprise. It's not like everything was perfect up until now, right? It's not like everything was perfectly compensated. Everybody was happily paid. Everybody was sleeping well in certain places. All the guns were safe and stuff like that. Nothing happened and suddenly this happened. No, there were already a large series of problems. This already was a big thing going on. So it really does not look good for Alec Baldwin. It really doesn't look good. It really looks negligent. They didn't do shit, frankly, in my opinion. So Mr. Baldwin was originally charged with involuntary manslaughter on January 2023, but a new set of prosecutors dropped the charges 3 months later. Those prosecutors eventually announced that a grand jury would consider whether to refile charges, which it ultimately did. Dave Halls, the first assistant director on Rest, reached a plea deal on charge of negligent use of deadly weapon. Oh, she's so beautiful too. Sad. Why are there new prosecutors? That's a very interesting question, Loppy. We need our emotion. This is too crazy. We need our rational support unicorn. Loppy, help us make sense of this, okay? We need a rational support unicorn. Okay. Miss Reeb, a former prosecutor, was involved in bringing the initial crime charges, but Mr. Baldwin lawyers later filed a motion asking that she be disqualified. Okay. Arguing that her simultaneous work for the two different branches of state government after she joined the prosecution, she was elected to state legislator and it violated the New Mexico's constitution. Okay, Jesus Christ, girl. Shortly before a new judge in New Mexico was set to decide whether Miss Reeb could continue in the role, she stepped down, saying that she wanted the prosecution to be able to focus on the evidence and the facts. Well, that's what any prosecution should be focused on. I mean, why should it be focused on anything else but reason? Huh, Loppy, my reason, my reason support animal. Okay. Jason Bells, a lawyer for Miss Gutierrez Reed, challenged the district attorney's ability to appoint a new special prosecutor for a case that she was still working on, and the judge in the case agreed. Miss Carmack outweighs a step back from the case appointed to New Mexico's. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. Who is Helena Hutchins? She deserves to be known. Okay, so filmmakers describe Miss Hutchins as a skilled cinematographer with an artistic vision who was deeply committed to her work. She grew up on a Soviet military base in the Arctic Circle. Wow, that's crazy. According to her personal website, Arctic Circle. Whenever I hear Arctic Circle, I think about... Okay, so I grew up in Utah. This is a side note, by the way. Totally off topic. I grew up in Utah, Salt Lake City. And we have a fast food restaurant there that's like burgers and fries. And it's called Arctic Circle. And they have like special fry sauce. And like, I don't know, it's so good. At least from what I remember. Anyways. So according to her personal website, the studied economics, back up. Hold on. She studied economics in Ukraine before switching to journalism at Kiev National University. She later attended the American Film Institute Conservatory in Los Angeles. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit, as they should, against crew members and producers, including Mr. Baldwin, accusing them of reckless conduct and cost-cutting measures that endangered the crew. As part of a settlement, Miss Hutchins' husband was made an executive producer on the film, which has since finished production. What? As part of a settlement, her husband was made an executive producer of the film? Are we going to see this film? It's probably going to be something where like the film ends and it's like dedicated to Miss Hutchins. Hey, Susan. Susan in the house. So now that we have more information, we know that they already had guns accidentally going off. Accidental discharges. Got it. They've already had 2 of those. So by the time it got to this, you know, it was really hitting the nail on the head. Cassie says, love me some Arctic Circle. Yeah, bitch. I got you. Fist pump. It was already bad on set. Like, it was already negligent. So now, like, with all that information, do you think he's guilty or not? Let's do a poll. I like this. This is a juicy poll. Is Alec Baldwin guilty? MC Heavyset, you know what Arctic Circle is too? I swear to God, it's like a really specific like a fast food joint like in Utah, like Arctic Circle. Like I don't know if it was in other states too. Swear to God, that shit is just like ancient now. I think there are still, I think, Cassie, there's still Arctic Circles, right? But it's not like how it used to be. God, Arctic Circle used to have this thing called ranch burgers. God damn, those are so good. We had them in Oregon too. Arctic Circle, I swear to God. We don't have them here in California. Susan just came in. Well, to wrap it up in a nutshell, apparently this gun that Alec Baldwin was holding. Okay, so he was with the cinematographer and director, right? They were trying to figure out a certain angle of shooting like the gun, like how I'm pointing my finger at you. Like they're trying to figure out that sort of angle and stuff. So apparently the gun went off, in his hand. And there's some forensic evidence that says no, he had to pull the trigger. So it's like, okay, there's that. But then the crew already complained that there was 2 accidental discharges before that. So like the conditions were already bad and the crew had other like problems going on. So it's like it's not like it was just one little accident that happened in a well-produced movie. It was really shoddy from the get-go. But anyways, today he's being indicted. So Baldwin, lead actor and co-producer on the Western movie Rust, was pointing a gun at cinema photographer Hudgens during a rehearsal on the set of Santa Fe in October 21 when the gun went off. The shot killed Hutchins and wounded director Joel Souza. Baldwin said he pulled back the hammer of the gun. So he pulled back the hammer, but he did not curl his finger around the trigger. He just pulled back the back part, did not curl his hand around the trigger, and apparently the gun went off. But this wasn't the first one. There was 2 other accidental discharges. So why, even if there was one accidental discharge, why would you not pull back all the prop guns and have not one but like 2 or 3 professional people go over the guns once, twice, 3 quadruple times, like double check everything? Like why wouldn't after the first accident you pull back everything and you say, okay, we got to do this correctly. Yes, we want realistic gun scenes, but we have to do this safe. So this is the 3rd time. 3rd time's the charm, I guess. You fucking killed somebody. I can see maybe that, and this is just my opinion, all right? This is just my personal opinion. And because like he allegedly pulled the trigger, I think maybe, perhaps, he's telling the truth on that. But where I think he's guilty is in that there was already accidental discharges happening before that. And he had plenty of opportunity to slack things back and make sure all those props get checked out and corrected. And he didn't do that. So I don't know if he actually pulled the trigger or not. That's fucking alleged. But like, in my mind, he's already guilty because he had plenty of opportunity to fix some things and he did not. That's my personal opinion. I think he needs to be held accountable for that. I think in the name of safe productions and safe movie sets, somebody needs to be held accountable and made an example of that so that in the future, people don't lose their lives. Because we all love movies, we all love entertainment, and they do deserve the production and all the effort and stuff, and however, whatever it takes to make it realistic, but it also needs to be safe. And that wasn't done here. That wasn't a priority, it seems like. It seems like. Whether it's not, obviously he wasn't intentional, obviously he wasn't like, I want to kill this person, but, you know, they did something dangerous and they didn't dot their I's and cross their T's. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't take care of the details. But that's just me. That's just me. Does anybody else have any, like, you want to say something on the contrary, or that? You're more than welcome. This is a safe place. I'm not here to, like, yell at people or be like, no, you have to listen to me, you have to think what I think. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I just, like, this is conversation, but this is just, like, what I think. That's the problem, because it was supposed to be a prop gun, but there happened to be a live round in it. So why was there a live round in it? It was supposed to be a blank. It was supposed to be all blanks in the gun, but somehow there was a live round in there. So it's like, how? And this wasn't the first accidental discharge of a gun. This was like the third. Oh my god. This stupid thing. Hold on. Oh my fuck. Come here, you stupid goddamn motherfucking. This. No, let me go to Big Face. This. You see this? You see this foam thing here? This little cuppy foam thing? Okay? This goes on my microphone. Like that. And it pops the fuck off. And it tosses around and I fucking juggle it before it hits the ground. And it just, it's so stupid. It just, like, it pops off and then I just, like, it's so light. I'm just like, oh, 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 oh. And then it just fucking, it's all over the place. I fucking hate it. Like, you stupid thing. Like, I almost want to glue it on, but I don't want to ruin my microphone. All right, I have to pee. By the way, still working on the pee screen. By the way, it's coming up. Don't worry. All right, going pee. I'll be right back. Do, 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 do. Jan is peeing, BRB. Do, 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 do. Jan is peeing, BRB. Okay. So I'm officially out of toilet paper. I have napkins. I had to use a napkin. So, if you can, subscribe to my channel. Become a member so that Jan can have toilet paper. I I'm really joking. Like, I can afford toilet paper, obviously. Like, but I thought it would be a funny moment to be like, support me so I can afford TP. TP emojis in the chat. Is there a toilet paper emoji? TP? Is there? I swear to God there is. There is! Toilet paper emoji in the chat. Just remind me to get TP. Oh my God. All right, let's see. I think the majority... Okay, so we got 62% that says yes, he's guilty. And 38% that say no. Okay, I got a little lag going on here. Get some TP. Is there lag going on? I'm getting lag on my end for some reason. Okay, I think it's catching up. Yes, please, MC Heavyset. Please, everybody make BRB Jan is peeing artwork. Like, I want to make like a whole collage of it. I hope there's not lag. I'm seeing a little lag on my end. Little bit of lag. That's why I'm like sitting around. I'm like, is it lagging? Is it lagging, laddies and lasses and llamas? I don't know why non-binary people are llamas, but that's all I can come up with. Are we lagging or are we good? Are we good? Are we good? I need signs in the chat. Are we good? Oh, send it to me on Instagram or Discord. We're good. Okay, we're good. Okay, I was a little worried there. It's really stormy right now. There's rain going on in California. In fact, I think we're due for an El Nino. So the power might be a little off. And because I live in California, the Wi-Fi lines are run through like power poles and stuff. So like, I've said this a million times. If a squirrel farts, like, my internet goes out. So I think that's kind of enough with Alec Baldwin, honestly. I mean, what else is there to say? It's kind of a really sad situation. It just seems like there's a lot of negligence going on the set in general. And by the time the cinematographer died, I mean, they could have had plenty of opportunity to pull back and, like, check everything. And that's just like my final opinion. Like, why didn't they really take the time to figure out problems when they arise in the first place? It seems like they kind of glazed over it. And frankly, I think this should be taken very seriously. I mean, somebody passed away because of this. And he's getting indicted today about this situation. But I think that's enough of that. So, anyways, moving along, my friends, we are now moving on to a different subject. We are going back to the 8 passengers case with Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. Now, if you've been with me for a long time on these streams, you know I'm very invested in this situation because it involves two women who are of the Mormon religion that have sort of created their own special, not necessarily their own special version of Mormonism, but taken Mormonism to justify a lot of their abuse on children. So both of those women have pleaded guilty, and they're going to be sentenced in February. So now we're getting to the point where, as of like a couple of days ago, Keven Franke, who is Ruby Franke's husband, is suing Jody Hildebrandt for pretty much damages, like suing her for the cost that it takes to take the children to the hospital, for the cost that it takes to take the children to psychologists and therapists and to get them the mental health care they need, not only for this moment right now, but for the rest of their lives, suing for all medical costs. And I think that's kind of the right move to take, honestly. So anyways, the father of 2 children who had food and water withheld from them and were physically tortured, asked the court to stop one of the 2 women who admitted the abuse from selling the home where the abuse occurred. So what that means is Keven Franke is moving to sue Jody Hildebrandt for all the costs, the medical costs, the mental health costs of like the children, for the children that need to recover from this. He's asking for the court to put sort of a stopper on Jody Hildebrandt and preventing her from making any moves such as selling her house or signing her house off to somebody else, or pretty much signing her assets off to anybody else, any way to minimize the assets she has so that she doesn't have anything to pay. Jody Hildebrandt is not poor, okay? She's well off. She has like a $5 million home. She has a couple of homes. Like, she has plenty of money. So what Keven Franke is asking is that the court puts a stop to her being able to sell any of that off or get rid of any of that while this situation is happening, because Keven Franke wants to be entitled to those assets in order to pay for the children's recovery, for the mental health costs, for the psychologist, for the therapist, for the actual physical care. So that's what he's moving to do. So Keven Franke asked the 5th District Court order Jody Nan Hildebrandt to give restitution or money given to victims of criminal cases. His 2 children in a motion filed on Friday. Hildebrandt, age 54, a business partner to Keven Franke's wife, Ruby. She's business partners with Kevin's wife. Jody Hildebrandt pleaded guilty on December 27th to 4 counts of child abuse, a second-degree felony. She admitted to forcing a boy to remain outside at all hours of the day, resulting in sunburns, regularly binding the boy's hands and feet, and forcing a girl to jump into a cactus multiple times. This is just kind of like, briefly summarizing it, I heard it worse, like where they did force the children to work outside on very hot days, did not give them water, did not give them sunscreen, did not give them any protection from the sun. So, they got dehydrated, they got sunburned. So many more worse things. Honestly, like, I don't even know if you want to hear it. I think I'm just going to keep it to myself. But, like, there's so many, like, worse things they did to those children, those 2 women did. And it's absolutely disgusting. So Ruby Franke, who previously ran the 8 Passengers YouTube channel with over 2.3 million subscribers, pleaded guilty to the same charges as Hildebrandt on December 18th. One of Franke's children escaped through a window at Hildebrandt's home in August and asked a neighbor for food and water, according to charging documents. The child appeared to have trapped in the home for some time. The document said the child was trapped in the home for some time. So, anyways, in a plea statement, Hildebrandt said they tried to convince the boy that he was evil. And that's kind of like the end of the shrubbery maze to Jody Hildebrandt's method of torture, is she convinces the children that she tortures that they're evil, and the reason why she's torturing them is to save them. So it psychologically damages them in a sense that they think that they deserve the torture they receive. And that's going to take a lot of undoing. So I can totally understand why Keven Franke would want to sue for the cost to get them out of there, out of that mentally. It's going to take a lot of therapy, a lot of time. So in the motion, Keven Franke said that Hildebrandt's mission of child abuse established that 2 of his children suffered both physical and psychological abuse. He said the children have received medical care and are continuing to receive mental health treatment. The motion said it's clear the children suffered irreparable harm because of the abuse by Hildebrandt and will require long-term care. It's true, frankly. I agree with this fully, frankly. Keven Franke said once the juvenile court matter is resolved, which is expected to be in September, the cost of this care would need to come from him and his children. Sad but true. Definitely. Because, like, if this all is settled and done, they're going to have to pay out of pocket for therapy. They're going to have to pay out of pocket for medication for CPTSD, PTSD, things that the children are going to suffer from for a very long time, frankly. Because the thing about child abuse is when you interfere with a child's development, it kind of hits their brain at a point where it's developing for the rest of its life. So, you're trying to establish a foundation mentally and emotionally as a child. And if that foundation is not stable, you're going to have a really hard time for the rest of your life. And I can definitely relate to that, like, really seriously. Like, that's something I struggle with. Hello, Lucifer. Good to see you. I'm so glad you came. Good to see Lucifer. Hail, Lucifer. Anyways. This would be a completely inequitable result that the victims and the victim's family would have to pay for their own treatment for injuries caused by Hildebrandt, the motion said. Right. It would be pretty weird that the family has to pay out of pocket for the treatment that is necessary from the harm that Jody Hildebrandt committed. Keven Franke said the cost of this ongoing treatment would be established before Hildebrandt is sentenced on February 20th, when the restitution is typically requested. He asked the judge to immediately prevent any liquidation or transfer of Hildebrandt's assets to the sources to fund. Okay. Listen to this. This is what I'm talking about. He's asking the judge to immediately prevent any liquidation or transfer of Jodi Hildebrandt's assets so that the resources she has can fund the restitution that he thinks the children deserve, which I think they deserve. The motion said Hildebrandt's home was listed for sale on so here's what the weird thing is. Okay, so like as a couple of days ago, Keven Franke is motioning to get money from Jodi Hildebrandt's assets to pay for the care of his children. However, her $5 million home was put up for sale at January 4th. Gee, Miss Jodi, seems like you're really trying to sell your assets before somebody can get a hold of them. That's what that seems like to me. It doesn't look good, frankly. Let's see. Keven Franke argued that it is obvious Hildebrandt is trying to get rid of or conceal her resources. I agree. Honestly, I agree. If she's putting a $5 million home up for sale on January 4th and he's now, bitch is like, that bitch admitted to guilt to 4 counts of child abuse. And suddenly she's starting to sell her $5 million house. She's trying to get rid of all the money she has so that she doesn't have to pay a dime to anybody else for restitution. And now that I think about it, she probably does put her home up for sale to like pay for the court costs and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, Mark just said, like, she probably needs to liquidate assets to fund her own defense, among other reasons. Well, but, like, honestly, if she has money, like, I think Keven Franke is in the right. Frankly, what do you think? Let's see. Let's do another poll. Ooh, juicy polls tonight. Juicy polls. Let's see. Do you think Keven Franke is right for suing Jodi for restitution? How do you spell that? Restitution. For the children. Children's treatment. Yes, okay. I'm trying to word this in a good way. I don't want to, like, word this weirdly. Do you think Keven Franke is right for suing Jodi for restitution for the children's treatment? I could probably put some commas in there, but who gives a shit? As long as you get the message, let's go. I am not good at grammar. Let's go. Frankly, I think he's in the right for doing that. I mean, the damage that she's done to those children psychologically, they're not going to need therapy right now. They're going to need therapy well into their adulthood. So why should they have to pay for that out of pocket for something that really shouldn't have happened to begin with?